Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Advisor. My name is Lisa Urbanski, co-host of the show. Lately, I've been doing a lot of exploration. And things just kind of fall into place. You start opening yourself up energetically. You start wondering about things. You start deepening your understanding of consciousness on a level that only you can understand, but you can feel yourself rising and that energy and it vibrates. Well, today we have a special treat for you. I've got a lovely couple here who I've had the honor of meeting about a year ago. And before I introduce them, and before I introduce the topic, I just want to say thanks to Spreaker and iHeartRadio for your sponsorship. We love you, and to our fans and our audience and everyone watching, please do not forget to like and subscribe before you leave today. Back to the topic. So I'm about to introduce you guys to Jonathan and Sasha Nova. They lived for 5 years in Costa Rica outside of society. And then they were 2 years living nomadic and traveling around. And they have developed this program called Sacred Sexuality. And they talk about the things that I just talked about, the energy, the understanding of that, the exploration of that, how it feels in the body when it comes to intimacy as a spiritual path. So I'm so excited to introduce them to you guys. How are you guys doing? You guys look great. I love the matching blue. I love the room. It's awesome.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Lisa.
Lisa. Yeah, it's a great pleasure and honor to be here with you, to be able to share. It's very passionate about art for us, and yeah, we're only really starting to begin to talk more about and be more open about it, and yeah, it's really exciting for us. Yeah.
It is. It's so exciting. Oh my God, because once I open my mind up to energy and like energy healing, I talk to you guys about my ninja all the time. Like that connection is something that is you can't explain it, but it's so real. And to be able to feel on a level that you can feel energy, especially with another person. So I cannot wait to dive into this with you guys. Why don't we start by like tell us about your journey and how you guys met?
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, certainly. So both Sasha and I, we met in Costa Rica, and we basically both of us left, or we met there, and we arrived there around the same time, and
But we didn't know each
yeah,
other.
yeah, and
Okay.
yeah, and we both basically being called, heard the call to life to just remove ourselves from society and align with more of a holistic way of life in Costa Rica. And it was there where we met. Sasha was actually one of the first people that came to my first Russian Sistema class, which is an ancient Russian martial art that I teach. And
Me being Russian, I was like, who's this guy teaching Russian
Uh,
martial art in Costa Rica? Let's go check it out.
yeah, and basically right away we there was an energy there that we both felt right away, and we were glad to continue to explore it. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, and it first started as us exchanging services because I used to do energy healing. This was one of the way that I essentially moved from corporate sales. I quit my corporate six-figure job in 2017. I was like, I'm meant to do something else. And I discovered that I have a gift for feeling energy and working with energy. And so I would offer Jonathan energy healing sessions, and he would offer body work sessions to me in return. And it was amazing how it allowed us to just find out so much more about this world of energy, the world of the body, and then eventually took us into sacred sexuality, which is what we're here to talk about today.
Or let me ask you this then. So when you felt each other's energy, so did you just automatically feel like you guys were connected? Like there was this unspoken energy, or what was that like?
I wouldn't, well, I remember the very first time I saw Jonathan, I felt this deep surprise. It was like, I still remember that moment, like seeing him being so surprised. And I came with my well, with my partner at the time, so I was not available. But yeah, the surprise stayed with me. It was like, it's not something I've experienced in the past. So yeah, it for me was surprise and just like this curiosity about who's this guy?
For me, it was it was when I eventually approached Sasha on like, okay, like we need to explore this, it was purely just like, we just need to explore the energetics of this because there's something here that I've never experienced before. And we owe it to ourselves to just to explore it. And um,
This was almost like a year later after we met.
yeah. And yeah, and just basically
Maybe even more than a year. It's hard to say. Been together for what, 6+ years, Just,
and so much has happened in that time. But basically, it's just there was just an activations that would continuously happen when we came together, and it was non-sexual at first. It was very just exploring the energies, the activations, and the releases that were happening naturally, organically when we were coming together with this intention to just explore and be curious with what this energy is that we felt that was coming so alive in us both when we came together. And
yeah, I would say that because of me and my nervous system and how my
mm,
nervous system, I found out in the last 7 years, when I actually had the time to learn about my nervous system and live outside of society, I found out that I am energetically sensitive and responsive. And so when I began to be like the subject, I guess, for Jonathan to practice, cultivate his body work,
yeah,
it grew like crazy because of how responsive my body was to when he was working on me. So yeah, maybe you could talk about it, how
yeah.
it was for you.
So
What do you mean by responsive? Like, what types of things were you feeling and noticing within you?
so I've been working with energy, but more discreetly, I guess. 'Cause I've always have been very sensitive. I've been an empath, which is something I've only had language for maybe in the last 5 years. And being in Costa Rica is where I had the opportunity to really start peeling back the layers of conditioning that. So I was resensitized myself, which is something I'd already started doing like 8 years prior. But it was like being able to work with her and consciously like work with like direct energy in certain places and have Sasha immediately respond in a way that was like, oh wow, okay. It was just very affirming, and it really helped me develop my own methodology for body work, which I've been teaching since as well. And just the whole approach really based around safety and really continuously affirming, you are safe. It was where I really noticed like the more I would affirm that and create conditions that really create that really safe space where Sasha was able to relax deeper and deeper, only amplified that energy and my ability to direct it to where it needed to be, and just the releases that would happen as a result. So
So, as an example, the very first time I received body work from
yeah.
Jonathan, I thought I got so much energy activated in my body that it felt like I was on mushrooms, that I
Yeah.
was high on mushrooms. I would see like visuals, and I couldn't actually stand up and
I
walk
had
to the
to
washroom. He had to like,
carry
he
practically carry her to the
walked
washroom.
me to the washroom because
Yeah.
so much energy
Yeah.
was liberated. This is one of Jonathan's talents, is to actually liberate stuck energy in people's bodies. And I literally was like, what are you doing? Like, I've never experienced anything like this prior to. And like, literally, I felt like my whole body was vibing. So, like, there was energy opened up in my arms, like my hands just were moving energy and visuals, like actual visuals from receiving body work. Like I would look up and like literally, I'm like, I feel like I'm on mushrooms. And like I did
Yeah.
not take anything. This is just liberation of energy. And
Yes.
this is what we mean when we say that like we just happen to be like the two people that when they come together, we perfectly activate each other
Yeah.
to then begin to open up all these psychic gifts, intuition,
Yeah.
and like heal on levels that we didn't know were possible,
Yeah.
because I had chronic gut issues prior to meeting Jonathan, lots of anxiety, inability to feel my emotions, which we can talk about, but this was all essentially like healed as a result of our union and our work
Yeah.
together.
Well, I can relate to that on a smaller level. I've confided with, they know me before. So from before, so we talked about this a little bit, but the energy work that I've been doing, I mentioned to you guys how I felt so connected. And the first time that I got it done, I was driving home, which is about 35 minutes. It was in traffic. And I honestly, anything could have happened. And I was just like, I had this stupid ass grin on my face. Everything was amazing. I felt like a child. Everything I was looking around, I was like, oh my God, life's so beautiful. Like it was like this feeling. I know what you mean by feeling like you're on mushrooms. Like it's like this feeling of like pure bliss. And but
Mm.
the level you're explaining is like even deeper than that. So wow, that's insane. I love that.
Thank you.
And it really is just liberation of energy, right? It's just the more we liberate the stuck energies within us, the more that life force can flow. And that's the life force is the creative energy, it's the sexual energy, it's the kundalini energy. It's all the same thing, right? And once we
And the point of sacred sexuality is actually to bring that innocence back into our lovemaking, so that you do
Mm,
feel like that innocence, almost like a child. So exploring the body, exploring the sensation,
yeah,
exploring what it's like when we connect, which is something that's, in our opinion, has been stolen from sex and lovemaking and even sex education. They don't teach this energetic component of what is possible when we do connect with another.
yeah.
And so like this, the whole the big part of sacred sexuality is actually returning back to what's our natural state, like what you described after receiving. That's our natural state. We're not supposed to be stressed out and full of tension and,
Mhm.
yeah.
no,
Yeah.
yeah.
So define sacred sexuality. What is it?
The simplest way I'd like to, well, at least one perspective, and so Sasha will share another, was looking at sex as sacred energy exchange. Right? So
Mm.
just bringing the sacredness into really all exchanges with all in all our relations. Begin with ourselves, with another, with nature, with higher power. It's just really truly honoring how we give and receive energy. And but if we were to talk a little more comparison with like sacred sexuality compared to conventional sex, it's just yeah. Sasha can speak more to
It's a
this.
different way to relate to the act of intimacy and sexuality. So it's it's a different attitude of how you see the act, and it's a different way to approach the actual act. And we can get into like the difference between conventional and sacred, and even like our stories of why we even came to this path. Because again, many people have no idea that there is a path such as sacred sexuality that's available. I had no idea until I pretty much had to explore a different alternative.
Yeah, I guess the key thing here is just it's slowing down. It really is just slowing down to actually,
Healing.
yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
Presence,
Being just fully
presence.
present. And the only way we can be fully present is if we're actually like in the body and slowing down, creating that space to allow for whatever wants to be felt and seen, to be felt.
And you take
So
the
can
agenda away.
Taking away the
You
agenda.
take away the agenda of getting somewhere,
Yeah.
climaxing, like the typical way that conventional sex is there to get you somewhere. We get into an orgasm. In sacred sexuality, the foreplay, like the journey is it.
It's approaching it as like as children, curiosity, wonder, and awe, like there's no agenda. They're just curious and playful, and this is like returning to that innocence is really what it's all about. Yeah.
so I'm imagining it like the energy work, but from a pleasurable place. So like doing things and like gently touching and moving the energy and like getting you there, but like enjoying the whole of each other in the process, like that sensuality, that stuff that you see in like really cheesy old movies, but it's not really old and really cheesy, but it's like you're just enjoying every part of each other and the scents and smells and like because you talked about your surroundings as well and I asked you guys when we talked about this before how like is there a quickie way to do it? And you kind of laughed at me. You're like, well, not really. Like we needed like at least three good 2 3 hours or whatever it is, right? Because it's such an experience. So
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's
my
honoring
body
it.
is like tingling thinking about it.
It's, it
It's
is.
it's got to be a gradual opening. There's many layers that we all carry, and it's like,
And when you first begin this journey, like how it was for me, like Jonathan mentioned, that he would actually tell me, you are safe. you are safe to be and to feel. Because part of my journey and my story of like how I even came to this is because at age 27, I became completely numb to sexual pleasure.
Mm.
Even though I was, fairly sexual person, I love making, but all of a sudden my body was completely numb.
Mm.
And I was like, what is that? What the hell happened? I'm only 27. Like I have my whole life ahead of me. I'm not okay with this. And so when you begin to ask questions like, life, why is this happening? Like, what is going on? It led me to this book that the listeners can find. It's a very easy book. It's called Tantric Orgasm for Women.
Mm.
And it explains in the book why so many women go numb in their womb area and how conventional, like heart pounding and quick sex, is actually very harmful to female body. And so I used to I come from Russian heritage, and there is this like very deep program in me of like, used to be, not anymore, thank God, but like pleasing my man, or like
Oh,
serving,
totally.
even if it's hurting me. And like how many women, even if it's unconscious,
Mm.
we
Sure.
give our body before it's ready, before it's fully open. And what ends up happening is our body is like, no, like this is hurting you, I'm actually gonna harden so you don't feel the pain, but you're also not going to feel any pleasure. And so when we began this work, I had so many emotional releases, just deep, heavy crying releases, that I was like, wow, this is insane. I had no idea this is what was happening.
Yeah.
But this is what people may expect when they get into this work, is that all that emotion and all that tension, especially for women, that sits in the
Yeah.
womb, that has never been processed, is gonna come up. The sexual energy is gonna touch it. And if you are in a safe space, you just cry. And then you feel, every time you cry and express, you feel this new level of openness, new level. And it just keeps getting deeper and deeper. Now, he can touch my forehead or like the back of my neck or other zones. And I feel like I'm energetically getting penetrated by him. And it's amazing. It's like
Yeah.
nothing that I've experienced before. But this is what's possible for, I believe, for any human being, if they
Yeah,
resensitize.
exactly. As they resensitize, because my own journey was been, I've been resensitizing my body since 2012, where essentially I made this after returning from my yogic education, geez,
Education.
yogic
It happens to
education.
me all the time.
Yeah,
I'm all the time. It's hard to say. Yogic education. We
yeah.
got you. We got you.
I made a decision to stop watching porn. And the truth is, prior to that, I like most men I've encountered were very much using porn as just another way to numb and distract, right? And I was just willing to give my life force away. And when I made a conscious decision to stop watching porn, I was also introduced to in, the book Multi-Orgasmic Man by Mantai Chia. And this was a game changer because it really taught the more of the Taoist perspective on energy cultivation and essentially what I coined sexual kung fu. Yeah, and the practice of semen retention, really not just giving your life force away, but actually using that energy and cultivating it to raise it, like to bring into the higher centers, to allow for healing, empowerment, and awakening to happen naturally.
Can you speak about this whole concept of your energy as a man being in your semen? Because I don't know if.
Yeah, so like on an energetic level, like semen essentially is like the physical manifestation of life force energy in a man, right? It's
Mm.
so that when we are continuously giving it away, the body has to use a tremendous amount of energy to make more of it, right? So, and not just that, there's that in the act of like self pleasuring that there's a lot of that energy, that life force energy is being cultivated, and there's an opportunity. You either let it release, just throw it out, throw it away, or you can learn how to raise it into those parts of you that are where there's stuck energy, and it naturally like helps to liberate that energy like much like a water will just clear, rushing water will clear away touches in a stream and that allow for life to flourish again. Like this is what the life force can do, and it's so intelligent. It knows where to go. It's just a matter of like learning how to breathe and move it into those higher centers. So it's just not just a physical release. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like so much there because Sasha brought up the point on like women and how we want to please men, right? Like, and so I know so many times I'm like in doggy and like I'm like ow, 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 like it's like hitting my cervix. I'm like Jesus, like that hurts, like back off, or and then I clench right up and I'm like trying to like stop it, but I put up with it
Yeah.
until he gets off, and it's happened it's happened to everybody. Like people listening to this are like, oh my God, this happens all the time. And then there's like that feeling of needing to do that. So I wanted to touch on that. And like, you're right, that isn't pleasurable. That isn't how we should be giving our bodies away. And then
Well,
in terms of what you were saying, Jonathan, about the men and like the porn and like so many men are struggling with that right now. Like so many, it's all the instant gratification and no one really looks at it from a sacred perspective anymore, unfortunately. And that's why I love this because it's like learn how to feel in your body, learn how to respect your portal and
mhm.
like feel pleasure on a level that you never imagined. Like what more can you want, really? I don't know.
Well, so many people are resistant to the path of healing, right? Because it's uncomfortable. It takes a tremendous amount of courage and a willingness to grow and evolve. And the truth is, like, this is like the most pleasurable way to go about that. And it's like through, it begins with oneself, like learning how to really just honor the inner union. And by doing so, like you can attract a partner that really can meet you. And then it really gets fun because then you're, like you're able to use that pleasure for your own healing, empowerment, and awakening.
Like
Yeah,
the
talk to us about that, the healing through intimacy. Talk to us about what that is, how it works, and for our listeners who are just like so intrigued, like what are little things you can do to get started?
Well, I want to, yeah, speak first about like my experience, like when we began to cultivate like sacred sexuality. I would literally observe how the energy would move, up the body, the vertical axis of our spine. And, in the beginning, it would be around releasing tension around my womb and actually beginning for the first time in my life to know what safety actually feels like. Like, I had no idea how unsafe I felt in the world until Jonathan began to say, "You are safe." I was like, what? I didn't even know. I didn't feel safe.
Mm.
But it began to open up this like deeper relaxation, deeper levels. And then it began to move up my belly. And like I mentioned already, I used to have chronic gut issues. So constant bloating, like inability to eat different food, pain pretty much like every day. And I later learned that because I come from a culture that represses emotion, I was never taught how to feel emotion. And so all the emotional energy was basically stuck in my belly because our belly is also about digesting not just food, it's about digesting life, it's about digesting.
Hmm.
So when that energy began moving up in my belly, I began to learn how to feel anger because I never allowed myself to feel anger. He literally taught me how to feel anger and
Yeah.
express it in a safe way. I began to deepen like how do you sit with the grief? How do you sit with sadness? And this is actually a really important point for people to know because before Jonathan,
Mm.
I think in my lovemaking with my ex partner, I cried maybe once or twice after lovemaking, and I thought there was something wrong with me. I was like, why am
Right.
I crying? What's going on? Something is wrong. And when we began to practice sacred sexuality, I realized this is actually beautiful. It means I feel safe. It means that the
Hmm.
actually moving stuck energy inside my body that is ready to be released. So if women cry after lovemaking, it's amazing. You're releasing all that stuck emotion that we typically carry. We would try to pretend that everything's fine, but really, like, our nervous system is so sensitive. Every woman's nervous system is sensitive. And as the energy moves up, then your heart opens. And then you're like, wow, life is amazing. Oh my God, we're all connected. You really begin to know what is God in human form. Like you connect to the divine in a degree that I don't know what else can connect you. maybe deep meditation.
or plant medicine, but it's all very it's not as grounded, like this is why we are here to advocate like sacred union, sacred sexuality, intimacy as a spiritual practice, right? And probably the most catalyzing, most powerful one you can take because it's intimacy into me, I see. So, being in partnership, it's like it really offers the most clearest reflection of those parts of us that we may not fully love and accept, and it's an opportunity for us to really shine light on those and to really, take bring all those into wholeness, like
Yeah, like in the
mm,
beginning, what would come up for me, and
mm,
this is still like I'm still and this is why we are so happy to begin talking about this, because I would see all this, like my releases would be as if there was some sexual trauma in my life, which is
Mm.
not in a sense like sexual abuse, which I now know is like it's not the case, but the sexual abuse could be considered me giving my body before it was ready.
yeah,
But I would see all these, like I would see images of like, things happening. I would release in this intense way, like crying and like, and
mm,
like sometimes we actually felt like what we're doing with this work is the deeper healing of the masculine and feminine wound that exists in humanity, right? Because it like the work like literally felt and feels so sacred that like in this act we are not just healing our own life and our own body, like we're doing collective healing work. And through this work, like, I ended up reconnecting with my dad and developing an amazing relationship.
Mm.
We've pretty much healed
all our
all
families
our, yeah, family wounds, like, but there's no conflict in our life anymore. And if there is, we know how to approach it.
right
And
away.
yeah, right away. So there's no leaking of energy. There's no spending, like having conflict that runs in your head that you go for years without addressing. And that's literally leaking energy that you could be using to whatever, like
For
serve the world with your passions.
yeah,
Yeah, it's storing in the body and like building up. And that's where disease comes in. Like you said, you were dealing with those issues with your stomach because there was like stuff that was stuck there, energy, right?
Exactly.
So do you guys want to talk to us about how you serve others, like the work that you're doing? How does it work?
so much of it is just like really slowing down and developing a relationship with oneself and bringing more awareness into the body to truly be present, right, to what is. And
So a lot of embodiment work, a lot of embodiment sessions,
yeah,
right? Because again, when people come down into the body from their head, that's when they actually become aware of like, oh my God, they have so much tension that I just wasn't even aware of because I wasn't in my body.
yeah,
So that's a big part of what
yeah,
we do with people.
really empowering them with the tools for nervous system regulation, right? To stay calm and
Mm.
essentially most stressful situations, which is life on this planet right now, right? There's just so much chaos, so much change and
Yeah.
transitions, and uncertainty. So it's just like first things first, it's just providing people the tools to just regulate their nervous systems, because without that, they can't, there's just no capacity for this work. There's no capacity to have real presence with another, let alone themselves, or themselves, let alone another. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
another big part of the piece that is so important that we had to learn through our own healing practice. I've had my healing practice for the last 7 years. I think you've had
Or a
it for a
decade.
lot over
Yeah.
a decade. Is that people have to learn how to connect to the witness inside of them so that they can observe their emotions, their thoughts, their mind, their body, the sensations, but they know that they are not it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Unless you know how to observe and be that compassionate witness, you
Yeah.
can do healing work forever.
Yeah.
And you're still going to be stuck in the same healing loops, the same stories. You're never going to come out of that victimhood state to the outside perspective. So, that's a huge part of,
It's fundamental what I teach. That's
yeah.
why everything I teach is always begins with the breath, right? It's the most
Yeah.
important thing we do, and it's the first thing we do when we enter this life, and it's the last thing we do when we pass. And it's just like the moment we connect with the breath, we're fully right here, right now. And and then as a result, you remind your body that you are safe, right? So it's so much do with the breath. And the more we connect consciously with the breath and intentionally with the breath, the more we anchor our awareness in our bodies in the now moment, where we can truly be aware of our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, our actions, and the more we can align that to um, our highest truth, it's healing happens naturally. Yeah, we basically end up doing our own psychotherapy 24/7, right? And as
Yeah.
long as you can passion witness the non-judgmental observer of what is arising, then you have an opportunity to fully integrate that and to release it or
Fully,
liberate it.
fully heal and know what this idea of being a whole human being means.
Yeah,
But like not as a concept, but as a felt sense experience in your body and in your life.
yeah. So we can really fully enjoy the full spectrum of the human experience.
My energy healer, when I first started down this journey of energy and Reiki and all the energy work, I sent him a message and I said, "Is this normal? Like I'm feeling incredibly, I forget what it was." And his response was that everything is normal. Everything that is happening to your body is normal. Everything is normal. So then he made me rethink that. And he's like, so it's just how are you going to process it, right? Like, how are you going to handle that? So when you guys are working with other people, I'm imagining that a lot of stuff is coming up for them. And I know for myself, like, it's like once you open up that line and those chakras, then different stuff comes out. So it's like, I was confused by that because I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, at one point I'm like, I feel like I'm in heat right now. Like all this stuff is coming up, right? Because your body is open, your body is receiving and then opening up. So, what kind of stuff do the people that you work with feel, see? Like, what do you see in them change, or what kind of things come up for people?
Well, I mean,
All the
all the
limiting,
repressed, all the limiting beliefs and repressed emotions. So
I'm not good
Yeah.
enough, I'm not lovable, I'm not worthy, I'm not safe. Those are like the most common.
for men, there's a lot of sexual shame, and I attribute that mostly because of porn. Because when you watch
Mm,
pornography, you cannot not be basically in the frequency of guilt, like of shame and guilt, because that's the base frequency of those who are creating those, pornography. So yeah, it's like so it's working through like first off, stop watching porn. That's the first step. And then, really being with those feelings and to really be with them and fully feel them so that you can heal them.
Yeah, so a big part of what we do is teach people how to be with their uncomfortable emotions, right?
Yeah.
Like unless
mhm.
you've taught, you don't know. And then once you start kind of like, taking out the dust, like all the stuff that's preventing true joy and pleasure
Mm.
from being experienced, then you get into things like intuitions open up. People all of a sudden begin to be like, oh my God, like I'm seeing all these signs, all the right people are coming into my life. I'm like really like communicating with the universe in a way I've never have before. And that's just amazing,
Yeah.
because they truly feel this unity, which is like, again, when your heart is open, you feel like you're connected to everything. You don't feel separate. So the fear that we tend to feel when we feel separate gets a lot less like intense, and you're able to like be with the fear and be like, oh my God, even the fear is safe.
Yeah.
I can be with my fear and still act on my dreams.
Yeah. Basically, the more you lighten the load by releasing the tensions, the stuck energies, all the limiting beliefs, you lighten the load and you increase your capacity, your awareness, and your capacity for life. And
Hmm.
and this is where that you really start to realize, you have the awareness of all the ways the universe is always talking to us, right? Everything is a reflection, everything is a mirror. And then life gets really interesting,
It
right? Because
becomes a fun
yeah,
game.
you start following the breadcrumbs and you really become an active participant in the game of life and it's so much fun.
You
Yeah,
begin
it's like you feel like a kid, right? Like you get that just like it's like everything's fun and it's like I don't know, director of your own movie. That's how I look at it. But
Totally, totally.
exactly. You begin to live your life,
Yeah.
your authentic life, the life that you intended to live versus the life that society or your parents or your friends
mhm.
you should live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God, that's crazy. I just love it so much. And then you're not only that, but it's like then as you open up, you're spreading your light. So it's like affecting more and more people because as we become accepting of ourselves and love each other in that way and fully feel, then we're completely, that lightness shines like so bright that
Mm.
people from across the world can feel it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's something this came to my awareness the other day. It was a friend of ours shared it, but we become walking wake up stories for others. You know, the more we embody our light, our soul's light, our essence, the more we just, we become models of empowerment, inspiration for everyone around us, where they start paying attention.
Mhm.
Okay, what's happening here? So, it's not because we're just by from our being, right?
From the
From the
field,
field.
the energetic field that you bring into the space because you're so embodied and you're like, yes, I am being myself. I'm being fully myself. I'm living my life and I'm just here to be who I am. Yeah.
Yeah, does uh I mean, obviously anxiety and all that stuff still comes in. So how do you guys handle those emotions when they creep in?
You observe.
Give them space.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we take a lot of sacred pauses
Yeah. Yeah.
throughout the day, throughout the week. I have recorded meditations that I created specifically for that, for those moments when just you just like because they still happen. We're
Of
still
course.
we're still human. We feel so much,
Yes.
but we have resources that we can come to remind us that hey, you're not it, and just breathe, and it's gonna pass.
It's really just connecting with the elements, like with nature and the elements of nature.
That's a
Like
huge, yeah.
it's the base thing. Is this how we cleanse? That's how we continuously to cleanse and nourish our physical and energetic bodies. So it allows to continue to remove the stagnation. I mean, stagnation that and the energies that accumulate just from technology just being from just sitting still for long periods of time. I mean, like that's why the most important thing for me is like really getting up and moving my body to just remove the stagnation from lying down, from sleeping 8 hours a night, right? And just to allow for the life force to naturally fill and nourish all my cells, so I can be a fine-tuned instrument for feeling and for being my most showing up as my most authentic self.
We have lots of tools.
Yeah, that's a lot. We come, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is the key. It's just
We've
our
been
tool bags. We use what need in the moment, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we've been in it, for the last like 7 years, hardcore for me, right? Looking at everything. Like not there's nothing that we haven't
Uh,
looked at. And at this point, like literally some of the work feels collective, right? Like you just like this hasn't happened to me. Like I don't know where this is coming from. Like we're working at the epigenetic level at this point.
it's deep. It is
Yeah.
Yes.
no end to it. And it's like, but it's
So we remember to enjoy it and
yeah,
celebrate a lot.
a lot. Yeah.
Because yeah, it does go deep.
So
Mhm.
why are you guys on this mission to help other people connect to themselves?
Yeah. Well, it's it's really there so we can continue to surround ourselves with like like empowered men and women who are committed to coming together in sacred partnership and raising evolved children. So and, creating these cohesive, strong family units, which we see will eventually come together to create conscious regenerative communities. And this is where we wish to be, so that we can bring children to this world and know that we're not doing
We
it
have
alone. We have
support. Yeah.
support, so we can continue to enjoy our life fully to
Yeah, because one thing that we found very uncomfortable coming back into society after 5 years living in our spiritual bubble is how disconnected and fearful most people are. And
Oh God, yeah.
as a sensitive, it feels completely uncomfortable. It feels horrible. So, like, a big part of
Hmm.
is to have more people with whom we can just relax and be like, oh,
yes,
okay, like like not feel that tension of like this balance inside somebody. Because, yeah, it doesn't feel comfortable.
yeah,
Yes. I had a couple of shows with a few other conscious leaders, and someone was saying, someone who does like really high level meditation coaching goes on these retreats, and these retreats are for kings, queens, celebrities of the sort to get them connected to themselves, to higher their level of consciousness because they're at the top. So the thought of that is that because they're at the top, they can affect so many people with their energy. So it's all about reordering the world. So what you guys are saying is like creating that community and starting there and then letting that grow from that community perspective. So I get the theory behind that because the people that, I mean, you look up to those people, they have a million followers. So what they do controls the world, right? So if those people can get rid of all of the stuff, they're just like every other human, but that'll help really change, make more lampposts, is what he said. We need more lampposts. We need lampposts all around the world, right? So it's like people who shine and affect, they're needed everywhere. But it is
Mhm.
not easy being so sensitive. Like as you know, Sasha, we talked about that. I'm very similar, right? I'm very sensitive to energy. So that's not easy until you learn how to really manage that and protect yourself from it. So I love your mission. You guys are just so great. How can people find you? Where do you go to like tell us about your website and all that stuff?
Certainly.
Yeah, so people can go to our website, which is payhip.com-spiritus way, or
Okay.
they can Google Spiritus Way. We're currently rebranding, so that's the best place. That's our website for now.
Yeah.
And yeah, they could see what we have there. And they can also find us on our new meetup group called Living Tantra. And yeah, we're just really pretty much calling everybody who is interested in having conscious relationships, who are interested in bringing sacred sexuality back into their life, and actually like learning how to be their most empowered self.
Yeah. And truly be embodied and truly aware of how they are giving and receiving energy in all their relations. Yeah.
Yeah, and we currently do offer private mentorships for like couples, and we actually are in the midst of doing our first couples program
Yes.
in the beginning of July this year. So in just a month time,
Yes.
which we're so excited about.
So excited for it. We're so excited to be ready to, like in a place where we're ready to really bring this work forward. It is, and it's feeling so natural and organic, and we're just really
And it's going to be called
excited.
Rise in Love because we
Yes.
don't want to fall in love. We want to rise in love.
Nice. Do you guys offer both online and in-person sessions, or is this mostly online?
I mean, we've been here in Victoria now for 3 months and been doing a lot of in-person like
Couples
couples
workshops.
workshops and just bringing community together and really finding who the other players are here, the other regenerative leaders that really are here able to play with us and co-create with us. But yeah, our mentorships generally are online, and this group program will be online as well. But definitely, we love facilitating retreats and creating these like in-person experiences. It's actually where we have the most fun. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So.
Amazing. What do you guys have on your mind before we go for today? What's from today's session? What do you want to leave the audience with?
Ooh.
I want to say that this path is available to anybody. So if you are a man or woman and you are unsatisfied with your, love making, with your sex life, with your relationships, don't just stop and be like, well, this is what I get. Like actually like seek out how to improve, like what are different ways to approach this. And just know that like, yeah, if I could come back from not feeling anything to like, feeling energetic penetration from a finger, then like this is possible. It does take time, it takes commitment, but I just really want to encourage people not to give up on how amazing their life can be.
Yeah. And remember, it's all an inside job. It always starts with us. But it's a lot more fun when you have another. Yeah.
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 So much
Mhm.
more
Yeah.
fun.
So much more pleasurable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are just so lovely. Thank you so much for being here today and for sharing on such a deep level. It's going to help so many people.
Thank you,
Thank you for
Lisa.
having us.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you. Mm.
And to our audience, thank you for tuning in, for listening. You just heard from Sasha and Jonathan. I know I'm going to go take a cold shower after I hang up this call. But until next time, my name is Lisa Urbanski with The Advisor. Um, improve your sex life, guys. Connect to yourself. It's in you. And we're going to have all of their links in the show notes for you for easy access to them. So until next time, bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.